Quick note before we begin. This video is for general education only. It is not personalized financial advice, so always make the money decisions that fit your own situation. You're budgeting, you're trying, you're being careful, and somehow the money still isn't adding up, and you feel just as broke as before. If that's you, I've got good news. It's probably not your income, and it's definitely not that you're hopeless. It's that you're making one or more of a handful of extremely common budgeting mistakes, and every one of them has a simple fix. In this video, I'm counting down the 7 mistakes that quietly keep people broke, even when they're trying hard. Watch for number 4, because almost everyone is guilty of it. Let's get into it. Here's something that seems like a contradiction. Some of the most careful, hard-working people you know are quietly broke, while some people who barely seem to think about money are somehow fine. It's not about intelligence, and it's usually not even about income. It's about a few specific habits, small hinges that swing big doors. The truth is, you can do 90% of budgeting right and still feel like you're getting nowhere if you're tripping on just 1 or 2 of these mistakes, because they quietly drain the progress you're working so hard to make. The good news is that once you can see them, they're genuinely easy to fix, and fixing even one can free up real money almost immediately. So as I go through these 7, I want you to be honest with yourself about which ones are yours. No guilt, no shame. We've all made every one of these. This is just about spotting the leaks so you can plug them. Because a budget isn't about being perfect. It's about catching the few mistakes that cost you the most. Let's count them down, starting at number 7. Coming in at number 7 is the mistake that quietly sabotages more budgets than any other. Saving whatever happens to be left at the end of the month. It sounds so reasonable. Pay for everything first and save the rest. The problem is that there is never anything left. Spending expands to fill whatever money's available every single time. So the leftover you plan to save mysteriously vanishes month after month, and you conclude you just can't afford to save. But you can. You're just doing it in the wrong order. The fix is a principle called paying yourself first. You flip the sequence completely. The moment your paycheck arrives, your savings comes out first, automatically, before you spend a dime on anything else. Then you live on what's left, which you can absolutely do because we adjust to what's in front of us. Set up an automatic transfer to savings for the day after payday, and saving stops being a leftover you hope for and becomes a bill you pay yourself. This one change done consistently will save you more than almost anything else on this list. Number 6 is the mistake of the overachiever, making your budget so strict that it has no room for any fun at all. It feels responsible. You slash every enjoyable expense to zero, promising yourself you'll be a model of discipline. And for a couple of weeks, you are. Then you crack, because you're human, and you go on a spending binge that undoes weeks of progress in a single weekend, topped off with a nice serving of guilt. This is exactly like a crash diet. Too much restriction always snaps back. The fix is to deliberately build a guilt-free fun category into your budget from day one. Give yourself a set, reasonable amount for the things you enjoy and spend it without shame, because you've already handled your needs and your savings. A budget that includes joy is a budget you can actually live with for years, and years of an okay budget beats one perfect month followed by a blowout every single time. Sustainability beats intensity. If your current budget makes you feel deprived, it's not too loose, it's too tight, and it's going to break. Loosen it on purpose so it lasts. Number 5 is the silent budget killer. Planning only for your regular monthly bills and completely forgetting the expenses that don't arrive every month. Your budget looks perfect on paper: rent, groceries, utilities, all accounted for, and then the car needs new tires, or the insurance premium comes due, or the holidays arrive, and suddenly you're reaching for a credit card and wondering where your plan went wrong. Your plan didn't account for reality. These irregular expenses aren't surprises. They're just predictable costs you didn't schedule. The fix, as we've covered, is sinking funds. Pick each big irregular expense, divide its cost by the months until it's due, and set that amount aside every month so the money is waiting when the bill lands. Build these right into your budget as their own line items. Once you do, those budget-busting moments that used to knock you off course simply stop happening because you saw them coming and quietly prepared. A budget that only plans for the predictable monthly stuff isn't a real budget yet. A budget that plans for the whole year, bumps and all, is the one that finally holds together. Here's number 4, the one almost everyone is guilty of. You agonize over small purchases, the coffee, the snack, the little $5 treat, feeling intense guilt over pocket change, while the 3 expenses that actually dominate your budget go completely unexamined. Those 3 are housing, transportation, and food, and together they eat the overwhelming majority of most people's income. Here's the math that matters. Skipping a $5 coffee saves you $5 once. Renegotiating a bill, dropping a too expensive car payment, finding cheaper housing, or seriously trimming your food spending saves you hundreds of dollars every month automatically for years. One smart decision on a big cost outperforms 1,000 acts of small guilt. So flip your focus. Stop beating yourself up over minor treats and instead point that energy at the giants. Shop your insurance. Question the car. Explore your housing options. Plan your meals. Win the big 3 and you can stop obsessing over the small stuff entirely, because the real money was never hiding in your coffee cup. It was hiding in the expenses you were too intimidated to look at. Number 3 is deceptively simple. Making a budget once and then never actually tracking against it. A budget you wrote in January and never looked at again isn't a budget, it's a wish. The entire power of budgeting comes from the feedback loop, from regularly comparing what you planned to what actually happened, and adjusting. Without that, you're flying blind again, just with a nicer looking flight plan you're ignoring. Now, tracking does not mean logging every receipt in agony. That's the overcomplication that makes people quit. It means a quick, regular check-in. Once a week, take 5 or 10 minutes to glance at your spending and see how each category is doing. Are you on pace? Overspending somewhere? Great, now you know, and you can course correct while it still matters instead of discovering the damage a month too late. Use whatever's easiest, a budgeting app that syncs your accounts, a simple spreadsheet, a notes page, whatever you'll actually open. The tool doesn't matter. The habit does. A 5-minute weekly check-in is the difference between a budget that guides your money and a pretty document that changes nothing. At number 2, the mistake that costs you the most in cold hard cash: paying only the minimum on your debts. Minimum payments are calculated to keep you in debt for as long as legally possible, because that's how lenders make their money. When you pay just the minimum on a high-interest balance, almost all of it goes to interest. The balance barely moves, and you can end up paying for a purchase many times over, sometimes for years and years. That interest is a chunk of every future paycheck, silently reserved for the bank before you ever see it. The fix is to attack your debt with intention. Keep paying minimums on everything to stay current, but pick one debt and throw every extra dollar at it until it's gone, then roll that payment on to the next. Whether you start with the smallest balance for momentum or the highest interest rate for math, the point is the same. Get aggressive, because every dollar of high-interest debt you kill is a guaranteed tax-free return you cannot get anywhere else. Escaping the minimum payment trap frees up money that debt was quietly stealing from your future, month after month. And the number one mistake keeping people broke, at every income level, is lifestyle creep with no goal to anchor you. Here's how it silently works. You get a raise, or pay off a debt, or land a better job, and instead of that extra money building your future, your spending quietly rises to swallow it. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, more subscriptions, upgraded everything. Your income went up, but you feel exactly as broke as before because your lifestyle rose to match it every time. This is why people earning great salaries still live paycheck to paycheck. The fix has 2 parts. First, get a real goal, something specific and meaningful you're building toward, because it's almost impossible to resist spending money that isn't promised to anything. Second, whenever your income rises, deliberately keep your lifestyle flat and send the difference straight to that goal. This one habit, keeping your spending steady while your income grows, is arguably the single most powerful wealth move there is. Master it, and you don't just fix your budget, you change your entire financial trajectory. Broke is often not about how much comes in, it's about how much you let follow it right back out. Now that we've counted down all 7, let me show you the thread that connects every single one. Because once you see it, they get much easier to beat. Look back at the list. Saving the leftover. No fun money, ignoring irregular costs, sweating small stuff, not tracking, minimum payments, lifestyle creep. What do they all share? Every one of them is what happens when money runs on autopilot instead of on intention. They're all versions of letting your money drift, react, and leak rather than telling it exactly where to go on purpose. Which means the single habit that fixes all seven at once is intentionality. Sitting down before the month begins and giving every dollar a job, then checking in briefly as you go. That one practice automatically pays you first, builds in your fund, funds your irregular expenses, focuses you on what matters, keeps you tracking, attacks your debt, and stops lifestyle creep. Because a dollar with a clear assignment can't quietly wander off and become a mistake. You don't have to fix these seven things one painful habit at a time. You fix them together by shifting from passive money to intentional money. That's the whole game. Everything else is just the details. So let's turn all of this into action with a simple 7-day reset, one small move a day, and by the end of the week, you'll have quietly fixed most of these mistakes. Day 1. Pull up your last month of statements and just look. No judgment, only awareness. Day 2. Set up one automatic transfer to savings for the day after payday, so you're finally paying yourself first. Day 3. Do a quick subscription audit and cancel anything you haven't used in a month. Day 4. List your irregular expenses for the year and start one small sinking fund for the closest one. Day 5. Look at your big three: housing, transportation, food, and pick one to make a single call or plan about. Day 6. Choose your debt payoff order and commit one extra dollar amount above the minimum to your first target. Day 7. Give every remaining dollar a job for the coming month and schedule a 5-minute weekly check-in with yourself. That's it. 7 small steps, 1 week, and you've gone from autopilot to intentional, from broken trying to actually getting ahead. None of these mistakes are permanent. They're just habits, and habits can be swapped. Start your reset tomorrow and let this be the week your money finally turns a corner.